Miami is now the favorite at -155.
It's not.
Milwaukee at +125. I still can't believe, like, out of all these, the Knicks are heavy favorites, -550 over Cleveland. They're 4-1. Golden State -275 over Sacramento, defending champs. This 2-2 now. Like, those make more sense. If you had told me, like, before the playoff series had started, this is what it would look like. I cannot believe the Bucks are down 3-1 right now. And I find it really hard at this point to look at them and say, I think they can come back. Like, this is, again, it's the Eric Spoelstra effect. It's the Jimmy Butler effect, where these are teams that you count out and then you realize you shouldn't because they always find ways to come back from the dead. Not like the Hawks, who don't actually come back from the dead.
I would say this. Because I got asked this today on Memphis, and it was such a great question. Would you rather take the plus money with Milwaukee or the slight minus money with Miami? And I thought to myself, immediately I thought, well, I guess Miami. And then I thought long and hard about it. And you're not getting 56 points from Jimmy Butler again. When your second highest scorer is Bam Adebayo with 15 points and your next highest scorer has 10 points, it's going to be really, really tough to win multiple games. I don't know how many of those games with Jimmy Butler you're going to get. And Giannis only had 25. You would imagine you could get more out of him as well. I don't want to bet either, but if I had to bet one, I think I'd bet the Bucks at plus money.
Where do you think this ends up in the draft in the first round for the Texans?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, it could be Stroud. It could be Will Anderson. It could be Tyree Wilson. And then they go at 12 for whatever. Honestly, I've never seen the draft where I have no idea. Yeah. My radio partner is Lance Erline, who is a draft analyst for NFL Network, and he doesn't know. No one really – this is a crazy draft. It really is a crazy draft because it's starting at 2. We don't know what is going to happen. I think Bryce Young is a lock at 1, but I don't think they're going to take Stroud at 2 because of the Mulugeta, because of what happened with Deshaun Watson. Mulugeta is his agent. He's Stroud's agent. I don't think that's going to happen, guys. I just don't. And I don't know. And listen, DeMeco Ryans comes from a place where you didn't have to have a quarterback to win. You had Jimmy G. Now, they did a lot to get Trey Lance, and they spent a lot of assets to get Trey Lance, but they didn't have to win to get they didn't need a quarterback to win. So I don't think they're going to take quarterback at 2, unless Bryce Young is there. If something crazy happens and Bryce Young is there at 2, otherwise I think it's going to be Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson. Colts. There's no question to me. Yeah, it's the Colts. If they get quarterback play, they're going to be really good. There's no question in my mind. They have to, and they got the 4th pick. If they get Stroud. Even if they get Levis, I think that the Colts are going to be the team to beat. Listen, I don't think the Texans are far away. In this division, the Jags aren't all that good. They're good, but they're not all that good. I think this division is up for grabs, if you want to know the truth. I think that the Texans could absolutely be there if they make the right picks, if they get quarterback play, if DeMeco Ryans can motivate this team. I don't think Texans are that far off. But I think the Colts, listen, you said the Jags are the team to beat. I think the Colts are actually the team to beat in this division, if you want to know the truth.
Really?
Yeah. All they got to get is quarterback play. They need quarterback play, and they'll be the team to beat.
Look, they're not going to get beat badly on this, but they're going to get beat on the draft because they get beat on it every year. And again, what one odds maker said to me that I thought was kind of interesting was, first off, he notes the sharps flock to the NFL draft. It tends to be pretty lucrative for them. And he says that as far as the odds makers on this, he said it is not something anyone in the industry looks forward to, especially on the trading side. So, and today is a perfect example of that. But yeah, the move was significant. And I did talk with Cameron Drucker. He's a senior trader with BetMGM, fine sponsor of your outstanding program. Okay. And Cameron told me this afternoon that there was kind of a unique situation with this. At BetMGM, as you three probably were aware, at least prior to this morning, they had taken Levis out of the number 1 pick prop. He was gone. He was off the board. It was just Young, Stroud, and Richardson. That was it. They had to move him back in, but the reason they moved him back in was that they were taking a bunch of bets on Young at number 2. And Young went from like 25 to 1 to go second, all the way up to like plus 500, plus 450, plus 500, somewhere in the 5 to 1 range. He was still the 5th choice, but he was the 5th choice at 25 to 1, and then he became the 5th choice at like 5 to 1. So they were getting hammered with tickets all the way down the line on Young because of this situation that was developing with Levis as potentially being in the mix for the number 1 pick. People were taking these long odds on, or I'm sorry, yeah, taking these longer odds on Young to go number 2. So like I said, there's this domino effect, but it was kind of a reverse thing. It was the Young action at number 2 that forced BetMGM's hand at number 1, putting Levis in as the number 2 choice to go number 1 overall.
Yeah, I mean, where he should go is tough just because I think the math would always say don't take, non-premium positions in round 1. Now, there aren't as many round 1 players in this draft as some years that many scouts are saying that, right? So I don't necessarily think it's the most offensive thing in the world if he goes in the 20s, even as an analytics person, but I think he's going to go higher. I would say anywhere from this sounds like a wide distribution, but 8 to 20. And, when people put him, he's the favorite, or the Falcons, he's the favorite prohibitively, for the Falcons at 8. I don't see that. I hear reports that they really like Tyler Algier. Obviously Cordell Patterson's there as well. But that's to me the first possibility. I think a team like the Commanders at 16 are really live there. Even a team like New England at 14. Now New England has a lot of needs, and if one of those quarterbacks falls, and one of those quarterbacks always does fall, I think they end up being that team that gobbles him up. But yeah, to me, it's like 14 to 16 is kind of the sweet spot for Bijan Robinson, because you see, teams like New England, teams like Washington right there. I think that teams are concerned with him. I don't think S2 is like the reason. I think S2 is sort of an excuse not to like him, because when you look at his resume, there's, I think teams get Kirk Cousins type vibes, and in many cases a good way. Like, he has probably the highest highest floor of any quarterback in this draft if you look at sort of the statistical profile. The issue is I think he has the lowest ceiling, and teams, if you're in that AFC, we just saw Aaron Rodgers get traded, Lamar Jackson's still there for the time being, and then you have Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, and of course Patrick Mahomes. So I think if you're in the AFC, you think to yourself, can we really compete, even with the advantages bestowed upon a rookie contract? Can we really compete in this AFC with a guy who I think many believe is kind of mechanic, is kind of very accurate, but doesn't necessarily have the ceiling of a guy like Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, or even Bryce Young?
This is really what it should have been in the first place. This is why it's dangerous to start rushing young quarterbacks out on the field, like maybe a Will Levis with the Colts, their first year.
Yeah.
Like, there's pressure to get them out there. I understand that, but you sometimes have to be smart and allow at least a year, half of a season, to play behind a veteran. Now Zach Wilson gets to do what he should have been doing the first year, maybe even 2 of his career, where, hey, the talent's there, but it's going to take a couple years to be able to make it happen.
You think they just cut him or try to move him for anything? Can you even get anything for Zach Wilson?
Not a thing.
I mean, it's hard enough to get anything right now for Trey Lance.
No, I don't think you can get anything from him.
I would argue you'd get more for Trey Lance than Zach Wilson.
Oh, yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I could see Trey Lance ending up in, like, Atlanta or something like that. Or maybe Trey Lance, because of the connection with Ryans, ends up in Houston on draft night.
Interesting.
And then they get their defensive player, and then you got a quarterback that's been in the league a couple of years. Granted, he's barely played. I could see something like that happening, because I don't know that Trey Lance is just done and never going to play another game. It sounds like he's done in San Francisco, since they've already said Purdy's our guy.
There you go.
But
everybody
I don't think
laughed
Trey
at me
Lance,
when I said that.
I
said
think he gets
Brock
another
Purdy's
shot
team.
somewhere. He's got to get another shot somewhere.
He's young.
He was a top 3 pick.
He's young. Again, if all of these, if Sam Darnold could get another shot, Trey Lance can get another shot. I mean, Sam Darnold's now had like a 3rd shot. Now he's in San Francisco. So
I kind of hope he starts this year.
Sam Darnold?
Yeah.
The redemption tour?
I would love to see, Shanahan took Sam Darnold to 12 wins. That'd be a great season.
And you know what also came out was Will Levis, just like Jamarcus Russell, can throw a ball on his knees further than your favorite quarterback.
Kyle Bowler. We
Yes.
did that with Kyle Bowler, and that didn't work out so well.
But when the hell is he ever going to drop to his knees and need to fire a 70-yard dart? And here's the other thing with Will Levis that scares me, man, is I could see like Brady Quinn. He needs to lay off the gym a little bit.
Yeah.
That's actually a lot of scouts really, really hold that against him. Is it because
He's into bodybuilding.
It ruins your flexibility, and you're able to have a good throwing motion.
Oh, yeah.
You want to be built like Tom
Pliability,
Brady. You want to be
as
nice and flexible and
said.
skinny like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brady Quinn's shoulders were so damn big
Yeah.
that he like couldn't even like put the ball back. Notre Dame legend, though. Actually, probably my favorite Notre Dame quarterback
Is
Of all
he?
time.
Well, up until this year, finally. But yeah, I think unfortunately he probably was. It was between him and Ian Book. So
I was
slim
just going to
pickings.
say, Slim Pickens.
Yeah.
They play better, and Bogdan comes to life, and Capella gets 25 rebounds, but the likelihood of that is low. I like the Celtics as well. I like the Minnesota Timberwolves to cover that 9.5. That's a big number, man. And did you guys hear this? Did you guys hear this story?
No.
So, Karl Anthony Towns, this is actually an incredible story. Karl Anthony Towns, after Game 3, had his hands in his head in his hands, right? And Ant Edwards, less than 22 years old, peeps Karl Anthony Towns down in the dumps, right? And he says to himself, I need to cheer this guy up. I need to pull my best Ted Lasso impression. And if you're caught up, you'll see that Ted Lasso allows his entire team to have a night on the town.
Just watch that episode.
In Amsterdam. So,
Love it.
boom.
I'm caught up with you, Trista. Let's go.
He pulls a Ted Lasso and has a Tank Davis watch party, has the whole team over there. They go crazy. They have this amazing bonding experience. The parties is like cracking, and they have this like knockout, like sort of late night sort of party environment. Apparently, it was incredible for bonding. And you know what they did? They came out in Game 4 and they beat the hell out of the Nuggets.
Yeah.
So I like those Timberwolves. I think that they have unlocked something. I think Ant Edwards might be the Ted Lasso of the NBA at 21 years old, only he can actually put up buckets.
Man,
I
that
love
kid.
Ant Edwards to do everything tonight. Minus 150 for over 1.5 steals. I don't care. Take his point number. Take his steal number. Take Timberwolves plus 9.5. And if you like it, just a little plus 375 on the money line.
Ooh,
just a little. Just a
sprinkle.
sprinkle. Just a
Little
sprinkle.
dabble.
They could
A
win
salt-based
tonight.
sprinkle.
Ryan, what you think?
No, I agree. I'm taking Minnesota too.
Who has the best style on the BetQL network?
Best style on the BetQL network, the entire network.
Probably Nick Costos.
Nick Ashew.
Trista. It's not even close. I mean, have you seen all the necklaces she's wearing?
I mean, Nick is going to kill me if I don't say Nick. He has like brands I've never even heard of, couture catalog stuff. He's like showing me pictures from Instagram on his phone all the time, and I wear like jeans and a hoodie most of the time, so it has to be Nick.
I mean, listen, I got a blazer right now that's got a hoodie on it. The blazer hoodie is kind of a thing, so I'm going to go with myself. If not, I'll probably go Trista because she wears like 20 necklaces every single show. So it'll be me first and then Trista. How about that?
Trista, easy.
I mean, like, I do. Well, actually, it's not me, sincerely. Trista is the best dressed person in sports media, period. And I am not, like, blowing smoke. I say that to her off air all the time. So it's Trista, but if it's not Trista, then it's definitely me.